Excellent. All right. Well, good afternoon. I'm back. You thought you could get rid of me? Not so. We're going to start with a quick little exercise, and I'm going to need some help. And Denise from Temple City Dental in Temple City, California, I'm going to ask you to come help me if you would. And because you are such an outgoing team member, you get to recruit a team member to come with you. So before you come up, whether it's, you get to recruit somebody not on your team. All right, so whoever you can find, you pick somebody. Come on up. We're going to do a quick exercise to get started. Thank you, Joey. Let's give Joey a big hand from the Crown Council. Thanks, Joey. Excellent. Okay, we're going to go non-digital here for just a moment. Does everybody see okay? I think we're good. All right, well, one of the little trivia facts is I have 7 kids. I have figured out what causes that. And it took me a while to figure it out, but I got it. And so I brought some of the little kiddie stuff with me to start our presentation on how to fill your schedule with digital marketing. So here's our little word picture, Denise and Sue Haley. Where are you from, Sue Haley?
From
Charlotte, North Carolina. When I moved to Texas about 30 years ago, I had a very wise mentor of mine that warned me about all the girls in the South with 2 names. Mary Sue, Betty Jo, and now Sue Haley. I like it. Very good. All right, let's give these ladies a big hand. Thank you, ladies. Okay, so here's the deal. I need both of your help. I got 2 things here. So Sue Haley, you get to be the funnel, right? So this is going to represent how patients come into your practice because there's only so many ways they can get in. They can either come through the front door, they can call and schedule an appointment. If you have a digital scheduling tool, they can get in that way. But there's a few ways they can get in. So Sue Haley, you get to be the funnel, how they get in. And Denise, you get to be the office. So this is going to be the office where we're going to capture the patients. Okay. All right, so why don't you hold it over the little kiddie pool here. We got to be really careful. And hold it. Let's get it down so we don't split. All right, so let's make sure we get the funnel in the practice. Okay, we good, ladies? Yeah. Now, the object of the game here is to capture as many of the prospective patients that are going to come into the practice. We got it. In fact, let's get down a little bit closer because we don't. You got it. Okay. Is everybody ready?
We're ready.
You guys ready? You going to get it?
We're
okay,
ready.
Here we go.
Not happening. We got to move.
All right. Didn't work too well.
No.
All right. So here's the, and I got you wet. That was really good. All right. Let's give them a little hand. All right. Now, here's the deal. You can stand up. You don't have to do squats the whole time. All right. So are prospects good? Yes. And are too many good? Is it good to have too many people that want to get in? So if they can't get in, where do they go? They'll probably go somewhere else, right? In other words, if we don't capture them, then you get the rebound effect. They go, in other words, if the phone is busy, the digital tool doesn't work, whatever it is. Okay, we're going to do an instant replay. We're going to open up the funnel this time, Sue Haley. So all we're going to do this time is we have many ways they can get in. You guys just get to go and let's try this again and see how we do. We're going to have to mop up the floor up here. All right, you ready? Okay, now we've slowed down the flow here. Now what's the problem? Right? We are not filling the practice. Why?
There's holes.
You got it. So they're going out as fast as they're coming in. Get it? All right, very good. You guys did awesome. Thank you very much. Let's give them a big hand. All right. So the word picture, obviously, is we're spending a lot of time talking about how to get people into the practice, which doesn't do any good unless they do what? They got to stay. So we're going to take the next couple of minutes and we're going to talk about how to plug the holes, how to open the funnel, but plug the holes so that they stay. So how to have a full schedule using every step in the patient experience to make sure they arrive in the practice and they stay there. So here's the example, here's the visual. We term prospects as really everyone in your market that needs a dentist. Now let's take a look at that. Who in your community needs a dentist? Everybody. Even people without teeth need a dentist. So is this a good business to be in? This is a great business to be in because everybody is a prospect. Now, that doesn't do us that much good until they do what? Until they start searching, right? Until they start searching for you. So there has to be something that happens so that they start searching, whether it's word of mouth or social media or whatever it is that causes them then to reach out and start looking for some place that they can call their dental home. So those searchers then, in digital marketing parlance, become visitors when what? When they land on your, in this case, on your, let's say your website or your social media, but in particular in your website. What we know is that even if people hear about you by word of mouth, on social media, on other things, where do they go first? Many times before they call or schedule. Where are they going to look first? They're going to look at your website, your social media, your reviews. So they don't become a target until they start searching. So searchers and visitors is where we start. They search, they visit. How many of you get a report from the company that does your host your internet or host your website? You get a report of how many unique visitors you had in a given month. Everyone should get that report every month. All right, so at least you know how many people are actually hitting your site. So then, that's good, but it's only good unless those visitors turn into what? So what we call a lead. Now what's a lead? It's somebody who has expressed some interest in something that you had to say. So that lead can take the form of a phone call. It could take the form of an online, where they register online and send you an email. It might be even a social media response, but in particular either a phone call or they fill out a form on your website. So one of the critical things to look at is, in this ratio, is how many visitors did you have in any particular month compared to what? How many actual leads resulted from all those visits? If you had 1,000 visits and no leads, what's the problem? We've got nothing compelling or nothing on there that's converting the visitor into the lead. So yes, visitors are important, but they're only as important as we convert them into someone who raised their hand and said, yes, I'm interested in some way, shape, or form. They picked up the phone or they did something online so we can capture who they are. So that's the first ratio that we have to look at as visitors compared to actual how many online leads or phone calls did we get. All right, then, once they're a lead, then what needs to happen next? That's not a rhetorical question. What has to happen next? Okay, so we got to convert that lead into an actual appointment. So here's the next ratio. How many leads compared to how many scheduled appointments? How many actual people scheduled an appointment? So there's a difference between a lead and then how many of those scheduled an actual appointment. So that's another ratio to track in terms of our performance in this area. How many of those actually converted to an appointment? Now, what's needed at that point? When we go to lead to appointment, what do you have to have? You have to have really good communication skills, because now this is where, like we talked about earlier today, this becomes a relationship business. They're not going to magically show up on their own. We have to communicate in a very specific, skilled way to convert that lead into an appointment. Then what has to happen? They got to show up. Is there a difference between a scheduled appointment and an actual appointment? How many of you work up front? Okay, is there a difference, gang? There's a big difference. What's the difference? Sometimes it's the difference between 100 scheduled appointments and 50 that actually show up, depending on the lead source or whatever the ratio might be. So then that is a ratio there of how many scheduled appointments versus how many actually showed up would be a ratio to track so that we don't lose any. And then from that appointment, what's the next conversion? From the appointment to an actual treatment plan, right? So did we create a treatment plan for that patient that fits their particular situation so that they have something to act on? All right, then from the treatment plan to what? Now from the treatment plan then to actual accepted treatment where they pay. So when you look at from the very beginning, from the prospect to the payment, how many potential holes are there? There's a lot of potential holes. So managing, as Christy mentioned this morning, one number, the whole story does not tell. If you get a report from your web host that says, gee, you had 1,200 unique visitors this month or 2,000, is that good? Well, that's one piece of the puzzle. Then to what degree are we converting each one of those groups of people all the way down to payment? Now, here's the good news. You don't have to hire anybody to do this. You can track this every day. You can track it, most of this, and what we recommend is that you track it by hand. In other words, you take each of these ratios and every day you just track how many leads did you get, internet as well as over the phone, how many? Then, next number is what? How many scheduled appointments did you make that particular day? Then, how many people actually showed up? So scheduled appointments versus how many showed up, how many treatment plans you did, and then how much was actually accepted. So what we prefer to do is we prefer to track that manually. There's a lot of ways you can track it digitally, but here would be the thought and the science behind it. There's a lot of things you can track digitally. There's some amazing tools that will help you do that. When it comes to daily performance that we have to do, the science would suggest that there is something that happens when you have to write down your own personal results. So if you have to write down how many calls came in versus how many actually scheduled an appointment, and you write that down, there's something that happens neurologically that hits that home that says, okay, this is actually me making this work to bring that person to the next level. So we suggest just doing it manually, not to, you keep using all your digital tracking, but you have a daily statistical report that you're tracking to see what your batting average is, what your ratios are, and to what degree you're converting in each one of these ratios. Make sense? All those in favor say aye. Okay, so here is your action here. In case you haven't been able to tell, I'm an action guy. I gave you a couple this morning. So here's your action on this one is that you manually track your own ratios. We like to have a big scoreboard in the office where we actually track these ratios on a daily basis, leads to scheduled appointments, to how many showed up, to how many got a treatment plan, to how many actually accepted, and dollars presented and dollars accepted. At least shows us how we're performing in each one of these areas, because failure in any one place, then the entire system falls apart. So yes, digital marketing matters because it brings all those people to the table. What we do with them from that point has a high degree of dependence on your people skills and communication skills and getting them to the next level. So as a tool for this, our team's going to hand out a card that you can take back to your team. So this will be a reminder. It's a card that has this whole model printed on it. And what the suggestion would be is take that back to the team and you create your own scoreboard if you choose. We do this at Total Patient Service with teams all over the country, and we have a lot of clients that use Perspective Marketing. So we take the digital results, we combine it with the case acceptance and appointment results to create a scoreboard that can be used on a daily basis to measure performance and plug all of the holes. That's the objective. The more patients we can get that arrive alive down at the bottom of the pyramid, that's the name of the game. And you have to manage every single one of those conversions to make it work and measure that performance on a regular basis. Get it? I need a little got it. Get it? Perfect. So that's your assignment. Track each one of those. You can use the card back with your team and make sure that you're, from a case acceptance standpoint, you are working on those ratios every single day to make sure that they come in, they accept treatment, and they pay for it. So, speaking of paying for it, we are now going to look at, Reese Harper is going to share some specifics on the economics of all of this, all the way down there at the bottom. So that's your assignment, and Reese Harper's up next.